Okay, so has anything changed since you came back to Beijing your first time?
It feels reassuringly familiar, and it's wonderful to see Beijing sort of alive and sort of buzzing with arts and culture. We went to the National Center for the Performing Arts the other day and felt like the old times.
What is the root, I wonder, between this very close connection of the Philadelphia Orchestra and China?
It goes back to 1973. The Philadelphia Orchestra was the first American orchestra to come to China. What happened was that the orchestra not only gave magnificent performances with their then music director, the legendary Eugene Ormandy, but also the musicians of the orchestra took time to meet people in China, music students, audience members. They took time to walk around and to come and do pop-up performances before pop-up performances were a thing, at hospitals, at schools, even just out on the street. That made an impact beyond the concert hall. And so bonds were formed in 1973, human bonds, that have only grown in the 50 years since then. So something very special happened.
What significance does the 1973 tour of China of the Philadelphia Orchestra hold in the history of the orchestra, but also maybe in the broader sense of cultural exchange between those two countries?
The Philadelphia Orchestra has always been at the vanguard of things. An understanding of how music can bring people together is part of that. And what better way to make that idea come to life than to do something so adventurous. Imagine 1973. Americans and Chinese had really not a very good idea of who each other was. And so to decide to come and connect people to people and humanize each other is what can make a difference in the world.
So the Philadelphia Orchestra is one actually of the most traveled.
Yes.
Why do you keep on coming back to China specifically? What makes you return?
We travel all over the world, but you're absolutely right. There's something really special about China. There's an incredible love of classical music here, but most importantly, the friendships that were made in 1973 are now into their second and third generation. Yeah, I remember when I was here in 2019, I met with a very senior official in the Chinese Foreign Office. Formal meeting was over, and as he walked away, he very gently said to me, you know, please keep doing what you're doing. It's absolutely beautiful. My parents shared with me the story of when the orchestra came in 1973, and I've been able to share that story with my kids as well. He said, please keep doing what you're doing. It's sometimes the only thing that works between our two countries.
Cultural exchange thrives on differences, but can you also draw parallels between China and the US and music specifically?
So that under the surface, all of that doesn't matter. Under the surface, differences in language, differences in geography, differences even in value system don't matter. We all experience music, whether it's Western classical music or thousands-year-old tradition of pipa playing, for example. It still touches us. And so I would say cultural differences are just the surface. We're moved by the same music in very similar ways. What I do find is that people are really interested in what we're doing at home. The colleagues we work with always want us to bring, some traditional repertoire and also some new repertoire. And they love when we collaborate with Chinese composers. For example, we've done a major piece by Tan Dun here and many others, or we collaborate with Chinese artists. We recently did a Lunar New Year concert in January, both in Philadelphia and New York, which was part of the I Sing festival, where we performed Tang poetry set to music. It was one of the most moving things we have ever done, and I'm very excited. We're going to be doing a couple of those poems in our residency here.
You mentioned in your speech yesterday, which I thought was very moving, that the ultimate goal is in the next 50 years we can celebrate the 100th anniversary of this special occasion. What steps are you taking towards this goal for now, and what are you planning to do in the future for it?
You know, we think the Philadelphia Orchestra is America's greatest export, you know, in terms of just how it changes, how through our music we change people. For the Philadelphia Orchestra to be back in China represents a recommitment to fundamental values of music and culture that we believe and we live every day.